So I know this video is a little late, but after checking out the Partybox 100, I thought, hey, we gotta see how this thing stacks up to the Boombox 2. And I say this video is a little late because personally I think that the Partybox 110 is right around the corner. But if the Partybox 110 does come out, then that could mean that we'll see even steeper discounts on the Partybox 100. So if you're looking for a bargain in 2021, then you might want to go with the Partybox 100. Or if you're still looking for something that's more rugged and more portable, then you might want to go with the Boombox 2.
Regarding pricing, this could definitely be a deciding factor for some people. The JBL Boombox 2 has a retail price of $500, a little pricey if you ask me, but we're starting to see the speaker go on sale for $400 now from time to time. Whereas the Partybox 100 has a retail price of $350, but it can sometimes be found on sale for $270. And like I mentioned at the top of this video, I do think that we'll see the Partybox 110 sometime this summer, which could mean that we'll see the Partybox 100 on sale more frequently. Nonetheless, if you want to pick either of these two speakers up, they'll be linked down below.
Now first let's go over the designs of these speakers, because obviously these speakers are very different from one another. The Partybox is larger and heavier than the Boombox 2, weighing in at 21.5 pounds, whereas the Boombox 2 weighs in at 13 pounds. Now, even though taking the Partybox on the go with you isn't too much of a hassle, you're obviously going to have a much easier time taking the Boombox 2 on the go with you. Regarding durability, the Partybox has great build quality and it can definitely take a beating. But since the speaker has a mostly plastic body, it is going to collect bumps and scrapes much easier than the Boombox 2, which has a mostly fabric body. But the most important thing here is that the Boombox 2 is IPX7 waterproof, whereas the Partybox isn't. Now, personally, I wouldn't be too worried if the Partybox were to get caught out in a slight drizzle, and this does happen, especially if you're using these speakers for entertaining. But the main reason why the Partybox isn't waterproof is because the ports on the backs are fully exposed, whereas the ports on the Boombox are sealed off.
But finally, design-wise, the biggest difference between these two speakers is just the light feature on the Partybox 100. Now, in general, JBL makes a mean-looking light feature. This light feature is very bright and vibrant, and you even have a few different lighting modes to choose from. However, just keep in mind, the Partybox 100 doesn't connect to JBL's app like the Partybox 310. So you're not going to be able to customize this light feature on the Partybox 100 like you can on the 310. But nonetheless, the light feature on the 100 looks great.
But now let's talk about tech specs. When it comes to battery life, the Boombox 2 has an advertised battery life of 24 hours, but that's with this speaker playing at 50% volume. Real-world use with this speaker playing at 80% volume, its battery life is good for around 7 hours of playback time, which is not bad at all. Whereas the Partybox has an advertised battery life of 12 hours, but that's with this speaker playing at 50% volume, with its light feature turned off and with its bass boost feature turned off as well. And quite frankly, battery life on this speaker really does vary depending on how you use it. Now, the speaker sounds fine with this bass boost feature turned off, but it does sound rather flat. Now, the bass boost feature on this speaker has two levels to it. Now, personally, I prefer to use this speaker while in bass boost level 1, because in bass boost level 1, it does sound rather balanced. You got good mids and good bass. But if you want to get the walls shaking in your house, then you can always just set the speaker to bass boost level 2 and place it up against a wall. But just keep in mind, using bass boost level 2 on this speaker does take its toll on its battery life. Now, with all that being said, real-world use with this speaker playing at 80% volume while in bass boost level 1 and with this light feature turned on, the speaker is good for around 5, maybe 6 hours of playback time, which is not bad at all, just given just how loud the speaker gets and just the sheer amount of bass it's pumping out. Regarding connectivity, both of these speakers can be connected to two Bluetooth devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ. But if you want to, you can always just use a wired connection with either of these two speakers, because both of these speakers still have audio jacks. Now, I know this sounds basic, but I do gotta point it out because I really feel the audio jacks days are numbered. However, the really important thing to keep in mind here is that with the Partybox, you also have an audio out jack. So if you've got a spare audio cable lying around, you can daisy chain any other speaker to the Partybox and have them play in sync. Now, both of these speakers also have USB-A ports, but the USB-A port on the Boombox 2 is strictly used for charging your own devices. Whereas with the Partybox, you can also use its USB-A port to play music off of a USB drive.
And finally, with the Partybox, you also get a mic and a guitar input. So if you're looking for something for karaoke night or for hosting events, then the Partybox might be more your speed. It does have a little bit more functionality than the Boombox 2. But now let's talk about actually listening to music with these speakers. Regarding speaker setups, the Boombox 2 has dual frontward firing woofers, dual frontward firing tweeters, and dual passive radiators that shoot out its sides. Whereas the Partybox also has dual frontward firing woofers and dual frontward firing tweeters, but it also has an exhaust port that shoots out the back. So if you're someone that's looking for a lot of bass, then you can just set the speaker to bass boost level 2 and place it up against the wall and increase your bass that way. Now you can also increase the bass on the Boombox 2 by placing it in a corner, but its effect isn't going to be as dramatic as the Partybox is. Now, when it comes to output, off of its internal battery, the Boombox 2 is rated at 60 watts and the Partybox is rated at 100 watts. But the thing about both of these speakers is that if you were to use them while they're plugged in, they're both going to get you a performance boost. They'll get a little louder and they'll push out a little more bass. While plugged in, the Boombox 2 is rated at 80 watts and the Partybox is rated at 160 watts. Overall, the Partybox is the better sounding speaker here. Even though both of these speakers share the same JBL sound signatures, the Partybox does sound a little more open, has more bass, and obviously can get louder. But so that you can hear for yourself, we're going to jump into a sound test. The Partybox is playing well in bass boost level 1 at 60% volume, whereas the Boombox 2 is playing at 80% volume, and we're going to see it playing while it's plugged in and unplugged. So, like you may have just heard, both of these speakers have the same sound signatures, prominent vocals with a decent amount of bass. However, the Partybox does sound a little more open than the Boombox 2. But the biggest thing to watch out for here is that with the Boombox 2, it doesn't linearly increase its bass as you increase its volume. Once you go past 80% volume on the Boombox 2, really only the mids and highs gonna increase, making the Boombox 2 sound a little nasally and narrow at higher volumes. Whereas with the Partybox, its bass does linearly increase as you increase its volume, making it sound more balanced at those higher volumes. So sound quality wise, the Partybox 100 is the superior choice.
But finally, let's talk about pairing these speakers up with other speakers. Now with the Partybox 100, you can wirelessly sync up one Partybox 100 to one other Partybox 100 and get them to play in left and right stereo sound. But unfortunately, you can't mix and match different Partyboxes together. So if you've got a Partybox 100 and a Partybox 310, or even an older Partybox 300, you can't sync them up and get them to play in sync. And also keep in mind, you cannot wirelessly sync up a Partybox 100 to a Boombox 2. But at least the Partybox does have that audio out jack that I mentioned earlier. And then there's the Boombox 2. You can only wirelessly sync up the Boombox 2 to other JBL Party Boost speakers. So if you've got a Boombox 2, you can sync it up to another Boombox 2, or to an Extreme 3, a Flip 5, a JBL Pulse 4, or the soon-to-be released JBL Charge 5. And if you've got two of these same JBL Party Boost speakers, so if you've got two Boombox 2, you can get them to play in left and right stereo sound, just like with the Partybox. However, just keep in mind, you cannot sync up a JBL Party Boost speaker to any of JBL's older speakers that are using JBL Connect Plus. So if, for example, let's say you have a Boombox 2 and you have a JBL Flip 4 or a JBL Pulse 3, they won't sync up because the Boombox 2 is using JBL Party Boost, whereas the Flip 4 and the Pulse 3 that I just mentioned are using JBL Connect Plus. So even though JBL does do speaker pairing protocols very well, there is some fragmentation to look out for.
So with all that being said, the Partybox 100 sounds and performs way better than the Boombox 2. And if you've got the room for it, then the Partybox 100 is obviously the better choice here, sound quality wise. But the Partybox 100 also has a few extra goodies, like an awesome looking light feature, those mic and guitar inputs, and not to mention, a lower price. However, the Boombox 2 is the better option here for someone looking for something that's more compact, durable, and portable. Because even though you can take the Partybox 100 on the go with you, the Boombox 2 is just easier. And the Boombox 2 also has the longer lasting battery here. Now, even though the Boombox 2 might not get as loud or have as much bass as the Partybox, it still gets plenty loud. But also, there's Party Boost. Whether you already have other JBL Party Boost speakers or if you plan on getting more in the future, you're going to be able to sync them up. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.